Good evening, Foxians. It's indeed a pleasure to be here in such an important webinar on a very, very important topic about environment. World Health Environment Day, and what better than the Public Awareness Committee is celebrating this by creating awareness of the common problems which our world is facing these days. And when you see the program, it is fantastic program which you have just heard. Such great speakers talk about environment and how to take care of your environment. What I'm going to talk to you today is something a little bit different, though it is, we all know it, but how our planet Earth healed itself during the COVID pandemic. And did it really heal itself during the pandemic lockdown? This is what we are going to try to tell you, and what we did wrong and where did we go right, and what we should have learned from this pandemic and what we should be doing. So Earth was a mess before, and it is again becoming a mess. Then the coronavirus hit us. Before coronavirus, there was a lot of talk about global warming, climate change, pollutions, rise in the non-communicable diseases, rise in infectious diseases, the zoonotic diseases coming and attacking men. And then one day on 17th of November 2019, this virus jumped into human beings from a wet animal market in a city called Wuhan in China. And this rapidly spread. And this rapidly spread all over the world, causing a pandemic and causing lots and lots of sickness, a lot of sick people all over the world, and a lot of death. The disease spread so frighteningly, and the attack was so severe that the world went into a lockdown in March 2020. And the whole thing locked down. And then we saw a climate change and in the pandemic. So lockdown was, everyone started making cartoons. The earth is closed for repairs. There was excessive pollution, including dumping of industrial waste, domestic waste, irresponsible chopping of trees, and every possible abuse we were doing to this world, the humans. But the lockdown turned the tables. And we were all locked down. The factories were closed. So nothing like this happened. And nothing like this happened. The skies became clear. The rivers became pure. And what we spent on cleaning, just the earth automatically cleaned it. The new flora and the flowers and all came. And here is what I'm going to show you, how the earth started looking when amidst the lockdown. So here is a picture of the India Gate, Delhi, before the lockdown, and here's the picture during the lockdown. So there was absolute limited movement of vehicles, rather no vehicles in most of the metro cities in India. The air became cleaner, safer of pollutants, and the AQI fell. And we living in Delhi NCR noticed all this. And even in people living in Bombay noticed all this. See, this was two pictures from Delhi and this from Bombay. See how polluted Bombay looked before and how clear the skies were during the lockdown. Then the remarkable things happened. In Bombay, in the wastelands, the flamingos came together. And you see thousands and thousands of flamingos of pink in Bombay occurred. The reduction of human activity. Humans were not on the road. They were locked. It was the opposite way. When animals are locked and the humans are on the road. So humans were locked and all these animals and birds and all. And the Bombay beach saw something of a spectacular pinkness, and which we all had to rejoice. And the Bombay Natural History Museum said the number of flamingos coming into Bombay increased 25% than the non-COVID time. And look at this, Punjab, which is 100 miles away from the Himalayas, especially Jalandhar. One day, one morning, people in Jalandhar woke up and they could see the Himalayas, 100 miles away. This had never happened in decades. After 30 years or maybe 40 years, we could visualize Himalayas from a city called Jalandhar, 100 miles away. And the air cleared so much and the peaks were all visible. So such a dramatic. Look at the rivers. Pre-pandemic, the rivers are polluted. Everyone's throwing. And look at the river at Varanasi Ghat during the pandemic. Look at the river at the Haridwar Ghats, Harka Pauri during the pandemic. And look at the other rivers, the Ganges, going through the plains. This is the Yamuna, sorry, in Delhi with the Delhi Basin. Never have seen the Yamuna river so clean, so crystal clear water as we saw in during the pandemic. And according to a report by Hindustan Times, the Ganga may be cleaner today than it was in 1986. Unfortunately, in last 6 months, by the end of the pandemic and the opening of the lockdown, the same dirt has appeared again. So COVID-19 affected the Earth's environment. The pandemic activity not only limited human life and activities, the Earth environment was very positively changed. But ladies and gentlemen, it was negatively impacted also because the world halted and there were a lot of negative things which happened, especially poverty and people dying of hunger. This novel coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 enveloped the entire world in 2 years. Starting from Wuhan, it took over 5 million lives and it is still there as endemic in many areas. Still the cases keep on increasing. And this caused a lot of health issues in human beings, chest pain, shortness of breath, attack of the lungs, serious conditions, people landing up into ICUs, people dying because of the immune response, which the body started showing and killing itself. The effect of the virus was not only in humans, it was also on the planet itself and the animals and everyone, and it was good. And suddenly you saw lots and lots of posters saying the world is locked down. You saw a lot of pictures of overworked doctors in PPE clothes all over. So let us see what the positive effects were. The positive effects were because the travel restrictions were there and the pandemic showed some beneficial effects on the environment. The air became cleaner, new flora came up, the rivers become cleaner, the pollution vanished, and even the noise pollution reduced because everyone was locked in and there were no vehicles traveling on it. There were no flights, so the air became very, very clean. And according to this research in 2020, we saw the average decrease of 36.4 in the SPM. SPM is suspended particulate matter in the air and solids, and 36% in all the major cities in Europe, and maximum it was seen in the 3 most polluted cities, Lahore, Delhi, and Dhaka, the 3 most. And the lower atmospheric pollution reduces the pace of the issue of global climate change. So in the 2 years, we realized that if we don't have pollution, the global climate change, which is occurring so rapidly, and the ice melting and the glaciers melting will slow down. So that is a great lesson which we learned in the pandemic. In addition to the air pollution, the reduced resource consumption, waste disposal, saw the better quality of water. And according to this Sumita, who wrote an environmental 500% reduction of sewage and industrial effluents, the water qualities in the rivers, as you can see, this was the effluent being pumped every day into these lovely rivers of ours. The river became so clean and there. And people were staying at home. There was reduced economic activities also seen. And ultimately, this also caused noise pollution to be reduced. The great thing is that the mountain goats came walking up into the streets of Wales. Never was it seen. And you could see there were no humans and only animals all around. So it happened, we lock animals in the zoos and we walk on the streets. We were all locked up in the houses. The animals were free to roam about. You saw baby turtles on the beaches and you saw the birds chirping everywhere. However, ladies and gentlemen, remember these positive effects were very short term. And it led to even harsher negative impacts. And that is the tragedy which we human beings are not learning. So what were the negative effects after all the positive? Although the positive effect of the pandemic seemed to heal the environment, but it also caused a detrimental effect. Children, the schools were closed, children were locked in the house. No one went to school for 2 years. Social interaction was not there. People were just going into depression, suicide. Everyone was upset. Nobody was meeting anyone physically. There was absolutely no, you were talking to computers like we are today, and you had no physical handshake. And we were wearing heavy clothes, which were disturbing our life and are heating our bodies. So now after the pandemic, lockdown opened up, economic recovery is being done. When we see economic recovery, you need more energy for the recovery. You see from the locked street, suddenly everything opened. And suddenly everyone wants to do extra to earn that money back. And this has caused a severe load on the natural fuels which we have, especially coal and gas. And this has been compounded this year again by the Ukraine-Russia war, oil and gas shortage. So this is the new problem, long-term problem, which we are going to face in these next couple of years. The shortage of coal, shortage of gas fuel, and the shortage, what the industrial recovery is going to take. So rebound demand of the coal increased. The fossil fuels are getting used up more faster. And it is very, very clear that the positive effect which we had was very short-lived, and it is going to be negated by all the negative effect. Then we used a lot of plastic. We used PPEs, we used masks, we used plastic helmets. We had 10, 20 things around us which was causing pollution. Single-use plastic was being used, thrown away in the rivers and littering. And in the last 6 months, you see we are back again with the problem of single-use plastics, the environmental climate increase, the increase in air pollution, the greenhouse gas emission, the waste generation, and the littering. So human beings don't learn. We don't learn. We have not learned. To add to all these detrimental effects, the thing which was saving us, use of sanitizers, has proven to be worse environment. So the very products and methods for staying safe have a very long-term effect on the environment. And these long-term effects far outweigh the short-term positive impact it had from saving us. So wearing of masks, PPE, N95, protective gears, all that has now shown that it has more detrimental effect. So what happened in pandemic? In the pandemic, Earth went into reset. So we have a reset button, the whole thing got reset. The nature has hit the reset button, and we were very happy that everything will be all right. Energy emissions, climate changes, air quality. But what happened wrong was poverty, globalization, food shortage, biodiversity. So, and this published paper is a very, very nice article, which everyone should read on the perspectives of what COVID-19 did. So, ladies and gentlemen, to summarize, some obvious immediate good effects reflected in the report like reduced everything, climate improving was beneficial, but we should learn from it. What we should learn from it is that this COVID-19 2 years have told us that if the Earth can reset itself, we humans have to be very, very careful not to go back to the pre-pandemic era or pre-pandemic pollutions which we were causing, which caused havoc in our, and the same havoc is going to be caused now again with the human beings not learning from this. So let's learn our lesson. Let's keep our Earth safe, clean, so that we don't go back and we are able to reverse the climatic change. So no single-use plastic, plant a tree every day, all of us, or at least on your birthdays, on your family birthdays, on any occasion, find a reason to plant a tree. Anywhere you see a blank, just plant a tree. You eat jamun, plant that jamun seed. You eat a mango, just keep it in a plastic, let it sprout, and in a plastic envelope with water. When it sprouts, plant it somewhere. So let's plant trees. Let's plant trees and heal the planet Earth and our beautiful planet permanently, which it has shown. And let's get the biodiversity back, and let's get the pollution. So thank you very much, Dr. Kalyan Barmade, to invite me, and Priyankur Rai to invite me to speak on this very, very interesting issue on climate change during the pandemic and what we could do and what we should be doing. Thank you very much. Happy Environmental Day to all of you and all of us.